Hey YouTube, what's up? This is Bulba7772, and today I'm here to bring you an action figure review of NECA's Bioshock Infinite Boys of Silence figure. So without further ado, let's get started. So this figure is obviously from the new Bioshock game, entitled Bioshock Infinite, and the first time I saw it in stores, it just stood out. I was like, yeah, I have to get this. And I'd been wanting to play the game for a while. I've played the first one, had not beaten it, but I watched the ending. And the second one I am still playing through, because I've got a ton of games to catch up on. But I've always loved the Bioshock series as a story, not completely gameplay-wise, but as a story it's great. And the NECA figures have always been superb. So let's get a close-up of this guy, and also keep in mind here I'm using a new camera, so this is also kind of a test to see if it'll do good. So yeah, that's pretty much the front of it. And then we shall take a look at the back. Bioshock Infinite. You can pause that and read it if you want. I don't think I will take the time to read it to you guys. I've already read it. 2K games. Irrational Games, I think, it was Irrational Games. And then nothing much from the side. And then on the bottom, NECA, Player Select, 2K Games, Irrational Games, and all that good stuff. Okay, so now that we've got the boring part out of the way, let's take him out of packaging and see this figure freed. Free him from his plastic prison, that is. So let me just get the camera situated. Now, Bioshock has always been good for making their characters a bit asymmetrical. At least the nameless ones. The Big Daddies have drills on one arm and don't on the other. The Lady Splicer has it just isn't symmetrical at all. And this guy, for the most part, like, it looks like in the game that they were like trying to make like he was going for a symmetrical look, but then that happened. So yeah, and I love how they captured the detail on this. So I'll go over articulation first, then we will do detail and sculpting and painting and all of that. Okay, so articulation is he has a ball-jointed head. It doesn't rotate around 360 degrees, but it can come off quite easily and go back on quite easily. He has this chain that's kind of just hooked here. It looks like a lock. And then his, I guess you could say, this mouthpiece opens and closes. Kind of reminds me of a bird. His shoulders rotate 360 degrees around and outward. His elbows, come on, man, kind of stiff there, rotate downward and around 360 degrees. And his hands rotate around 360 degrees. I believe they're on a ball joint, but I am not sure. His waist rotates around 360 degrees. That also seems to kind of be on a ball joint. His legs bend outward, like, the splits kind of articulation, and also forwards and backwards, but the skirt type thing is kind of preventing that. The knees bend backwards a little bit, and then we'll rotate around 360 degrees. And then the feet, where the boots start at, will rotate around 360 degrees. And I believe they're on a ball joint, they may be on a peg. So yeah, I'm trying to get this knee to move back now. I'm not sure if this one will or if it's just stiff or what. But yeah, that's pretty much all for the articulation on this guy. This figure is incredible. I really love how NECA does their figures, mainly because I had started collecting Hasbro for the most part, and now that I've gotten into NECA, I'm just really impressed and awed by their products. So I think that this is a great figure, but there are a few things that they could have done just a tad bit better. And I'm sure that a lot of this isn't their fault. The flaws that I have seen with this figure, whether it be their fault or not, are they have stiff joints in their articulation, like I was showing you. Like the elbows and the knee. I'm not even sure if the knee on one foot is on one leg is supposed to move his right leg there. You can't turn his head all the way around without having to pop it off, and that also makes the shoulder articulation not as well, not as good. But it's still a good figure, and they did what they could, with the stuff that they have. Um, Here is hopefully better quality. We'll go back down. His hands just look incredible. They've got an incredible amount of detail on them. I believe that the camera captures it better than you can actually see on the figure. You can see the wear and the dirt and even a little vein right there. I think that that's just incredible. The paint scheme, I think that they did a great job on this too. They kind of have like spills and stain and dirt on his blue pants, and that may be shading, but either way it looks just fantastic. And it may be a skin, it may just be an idiot and the light may be wrong, or maybe colorblind or something. I think that they did a great job sculpting and paint job-wise. Those two categories, they will get a 5 out of 5. So let me get the camera situated. Okay, so I'm going to give this guy 4 different ratings in different categories. Articulation, paint job, sculpting, and just overall. So, in articulation, it's great articulation. They did a superb job. Some of the parts were strained, other parts were moving, but it's not that big of a deal, especially since this is what they had to work with. I mean, if they had changed it any, it would have completely ruined the figure. So I will give them I'm gonna go with a 4.5 out of 5. And here's the thing that I think that they could have done to fix it. Maybe given it a cloth around the neck instead of the hard plastic, or made it just to where it would be easier to it would have been easier to turn the head and the shoulders. But really, it's not that big of a deal. Paint job and sculpting, as I said before, are just phenomenal. He's going to go ahead and get a 5 out of 5 on both of those. And overall, I'm just going to give this figure a 5 out of 5. This is a great figure. I highly recommend you pick him up. It's going to look great with my other Bioshock figures, which I'll actually show you a couple of them next to him really quick, just to get a kind of size comparison. So there we have Subject Delta. Actually, let me make these guys switch places so that I can put somebody else on the other side. So we have Subject Delta next to him. So Subject Delta is a tad bit smaller. Next we'll put the Big Sister. So he's still much taller than the Big Sister. The net on her back kind of makes her the same height. And I guess you could argue that the head of the Boys of Silence makes him the same height, but the head is part of the actual character of the person himself. Like he can't take that off. The Big Sister can. So if you get my point here. So now that you've seen it next to those two, I shall put next to the normal Big Daddy, the Little Sister, and the Splicer. So I'll do the Splicer first. Much taller than the Splicer, and I don't know. These figures just may be bigger, and I may just be an idiot. And then we'll move it over a little bit because the Big Daddy is huge. So oh great, and of course this part came unhooked. Not huge tall-wise, but just like huge in general. Obviously, Most of you should know what I'm talking about. We'll put little sister next to the Boys of Silence. So she comes up to like a little bit right below his belt. He's an incredibly tall figure. He's by far the tallest Bioshock figure that they've come out with. And I don't have them all, but I guess I'm just assuming here. At least of the ones I have. But it's a fantastic figure. 5 out of 5. If you find him in stores, I would get him. I found him at Hastings for 20 and Toys R Us for 16, and I got him at Toys R Us. I would get him the cheapest place you can find him. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep collecting. Bye.